Now, I guess before we begin, we want to talk about some things with the portfolio tools. You'll see a more in-depth presentation, my apologies, on this next week. But for a brief view, there have been some changes for those of you that have been using the PowerOptions tools for an extended period or just recently, and you say, wait a minute, something's changed here. What changed? Well, we made some updates to the portfolio tools. The first one, which is a little bit obvious, but now you have alerts when you're tracking your positions in the portfolio. In the portfolio tools, we track by strategy. So you see from last 2 weeks ago, I apologize, February 7th, we created a webinar, we created a portfolio to address some of the questions that came in. We looked at 2 long calls here on the VIX that had high open interest. Both of these would have expired worthless, by the way. Neither one of them actually hit a profit. We would have closed both of these for about a 33% loss. Even though we had some movement in the VIX, the price that was available on February 7th, 103 for the February 18 call, it did go up to about 120, 125, but not as much as we would have expected a few days ago. And the 19 strike call did hit a profit too. It was like 87, 88 cents, I think, at one point. But yeah, these would have been closed in that account. We'll do some accounting on that later. And then we had a covered call that we discussed on the video on the 7th. We also did a calendar call spread on AZN. That performing well for us. We'll talk about that later. And the Walmart trade that was asked about as well, sort of simulating a same strike horizontal calendar spread in the married put format. This one would have gotten away from us, but we'll talk about that in a moment too. But one of the new things that was added recently are these 2 lightning bolts that you see here. It's alerting you that either you have earnings or ex-dividend coming up this week, or that your option has expiration coming up this week as well. So this option here, it expired today. Most of these are 21st of February. We did 14 days out in time as well in that case. So that's what we're... those are the positions there that we're seeing. So you see the lightning bolt there, the alert. It'll also show up, as I mentioned, for ex-dividend or earnings as well. Added a cash report view. Now, this is also where I'm in the setup of the portfolio. I can make a deposit or a withdrawal to increase or decrease, take out or put in money. That's going to reflect here. And if I go to the cash report, during this week, of course, what we did is we went ahead and set up the position. And we started with a previous cost basis of $25,000. We had $4,000 in cash left. So we went ahead and deposited $7,500. Now, when you look at the portfolio, it adjusted our starting basis. We selected to have it adjust our starting basis, $32,500. And our new cash on hand is $11,625. And of course, the return is going to reflect against that new balance that we've put in as well. The notes report, as I'm tracking any position and I enter any new position, or I can choose to enter a custom note here in the book icon. Here we just put in that we entered it, but we could put in our own custom notes as the trade went on, what management we would consider, what we would look to do. Well, now we have a full notes report for the various portfolios as well. And the notes report will walk you through. You can search just by the stock symbol. So I can just go AZN. And there we have our calendar spread entry and the stock price at the time of the trade for the AZN calendar call spread on February 7th. So in addition to what we already had with the alerts report, where you could see all of the alerts for all of your different portfolios as well, you now have the cash report and the notes report, my apologies, and the portfolio valuation. And there's a lot of other things that we added into sort of the position analysis and the rollout opportunities as well. And as I mentioned, we'll cover that more in an in-depth presentation that we'll do there.